How many people here are over the age of 40? Raise your hand. Yes, my crew. I think for a lot of us, we have opinions of Gen Z coming into the workforce. I have unlimited employees who tell me they only want to work Tuesday to Thursday and be promoted within the first 7 days of being in the organization. And I'm sure a lot of us have a ton of feelings about that, but the reality is that these kids are coming up with options. We in this room did not have the ability to make $50,000 a year dancing on TikTok and getting brand deals. And so I don't think Gen Z is lazy, I just think they're living with options that we didn't have. But the reality is that accountability, kindness, patience, tenacity, all the traits that we talked about in the book, it's really cooking a meal. I think all of us know as we manage and build, if you're over-indexing on one or two things without having a complete meal, it creates vulnerability. There's unlimited value in tenacity. I was born in the Soviet Union. My family came here with nothing. We lived with 8 family members in a studio apartment. I'm not sitting here in front of you without ungodly levels of conviction, tenacity, and hard work. At the same token, the amount of people that do burn out or are unhappy in their journey to dollars, or many of the other mental aspects of being a human being, if you don't find balance within that. And more importantly for me, what's so impressive, Dave, about what you and the family have done, and many of the leaders here, how many people here by show of hands have been in the organization for more than 5 years? Raise your hand. How about 10? How about 15? I mean, that's the punchline. To me, the only thing that's interesting about when you're building a meaningful business is what's your retention. And retention, for a lot of us who raised our hands over 40, as we all know, 15, 20 years ago, the majority of retention was predicated on the financial upside of continuing the course, and for a select crew, and a good amount of the people, the titles that came along with that. I think retention going forward will require us to be a little more well-rounded because of the optionality and because of the way the internet's growing. And I think we do have to take a strong stance on figuring out how to incentivize people. And I call it really reverse engineering. I'm not overly emotional on what drives my 1,900 employees globally. If it's money, mazel tov, I'm in. I understand that game. If it's titles, if you need that for your ego or leverage or your LinkedIn, I'm about that life. Happy to go there if it's appropriate. If it's work-life balance, I'm all about that. But the kind candor that I talked about in the book comes along with that. When I sit down with somebody and they say, Gary, I need work-life balance, I'm like, I'm good. But you need to understand that we're building a business and there are gonna be people in this organization who are gonna go harder and want different things, and as long as you're comfortable in realizing there's no participation in hanging around trophy game here, like you will be compensated appropriately and well, but there are going to be people that lap you in this organization, and somebody that now reports to you has a high chance of having you report to them based on this need. As long as you are accountable to what makes you happy, then I'm about that. And I think that is a modern conversation that most of us didn't grow up with. I sure didn't in the last 25 years. And these combos are landing. And I think one of the things that we need to think about as leaders in here is there is a generation of employees that don't have the same frameworks we did. And so for me, I'm agnostic. You wanna be the CEO, I had a kid come in the other day, I wanna be the CEO of a company. I'm like, great. He was like, what do I do? I'm like, work 24 hours a day for 14 years and give yourself maybe a chance to be in the mix. And if that's not your life, that's awesome. And so I think we need to start thinking about optionality in the way that we manage and we build this organization. When I think about the growth 4 years in a row and all that stuff, like things are changing and we know it. And I think for a lot of us, you may not like it, but the world and technology and innovation, both on the marketing and the management side, doesn't really care what you think. The world's gonna do the world. And it's our job to adjust to that reality. And so I think there's so many interesting things brewing on continuing the next decade or two to have the hands be 5 and 10 and 15s and 20 years in here. Some of us are gonna have to compromise on ideologies that we lived for ourselves for the best interest of the organization. That's what I'm spending time on. I worked in a retail store 7 days a week, 15 hours a day for 20 years. Like, that's how I saw it, that's what I liked. But I don't have any emotion for the people. I don't view them lesser than if they want to live that 9 to 5 life, 5 days a week. I just don't want them to think that they're going to be the EVP of the company if they do that. And so there's a lot of these kind of combos that I think are really healthy and something worth talking about. The other thing that I'm spending a lot of time on thinking about is the whole marketing shift. It's, we did 3 Super Bowl spots at VaynerMedia in this last Super Bowl, so I'm sure it's top of mind. We did the Pepsi spots with Ben Stiller and Steve Martin, and we did the Mr. Peanut, Roast the Peanut, Mr. Peanut campaign. That's marketing that we all kind of grew up with. As you saw in the clip in my intro with Larry King, he's like, what are you? I'm like, we're modern day Mad Men. What does that mean? How many people watched Mad Men on TV? Just raise your hands. Great, solid. So, that's an ad firm. That's how Madison Avenue was. I think a lot of us have grown up with it. But it was always television down, print down, billboard down. I think everyone here is aware that digital is now a part of our lives. I think a lot of people struggle with digital being part of our lives. Watch this. How many people here, by the way, lying is the devil. And when I ask this question, I don't want half, I want full. Ready? How many people here recall saying to themselves or to somebody else 15, 17 years ago, I'm not getting a cell phone. I don't need one of those things. My pager is perfect. Raise your hand. I appreciate it, my man back there. 1, 2, 3. All right, 7, 8. Next. How many people remember saying, I'm not getting that expensive iPhone. My BlackBerry is awesome. Plus, I need the buttons on my BlackBerry. Don't lie, raise your hands. Look around, look around, look around. Here's a favorite of mine. Remember, lying is the devil. How many people here 15 years ago said, I'm not getting a Facebook account. That's for kids and my children. I'll never be on Facebook and have had a Facebook account since. Don't lie, raise your hands. This, what we just went through for 45 seconds is the only thing I think about. The only thing I care about with marketing is selling stuff. My daddy had a liquor store. He didn't care about if people thought the video was funny or interesting. He didn't care what my opinion of a good ad was or his opinion. He cared how much Pinot Grigio and Johnny Walker Black sold. Marketing is an engine for business. The problem and the opportunity is marketing is going through the biggest shift it's gone through since we transitioned from a predominant radio consuming society to a predominant television society. The internet is now 30 years old. It's really starting to hit maturity. We're there now. And what's happening on the modern day internet is remarkable. What's even more remarkable is how many people in this room, in this hotel, in this beautiful city, and in this country continue to underestimate the power of the modern marketing and how much they continue to overestimate yesterday. The concept of humanity is very simple. I'm going to overvalue yesterday because it's not scary, I know it. For a small group of people that I roll with in Silicon Valley and others, they overestimate tomorrow. They're like, if you're not on VR selling cars, you're an idiot. There's like 9 people using VR. So I'm watching everybody way overvalue yesterday. I promise. What I want for all of you is I want you to be obsessed with today. For example, today, Facebook Reels. If you know what TikTok is and if you know what Instagram Reels are, Facebook has a version called Reels. All the cool kids are doing everything on TikTok and Instagram because that's the new wave. Meanwhile, because so few people are making content for Facebook Reels, yet there are tens and hundreds of millions of people consuming those Reels, the supply and demand of attention and output is off kilter, and one of the biggest opportunities in marketing this second is doing videos and pictures on Facebook Reels to sell stuff. That is the framework that we are going to want to achieve in this room, and because this is real, family, and I watch how Dave talks about it, and if you're trying to raise money for your PTA, and if your cousin is running for mayor in Cincinnati, and if you have a little time for a side hustle and you like selling t-shirts, It is the framework of our society. The biggest reason the world's confused right now is they don't understand that the attention of our society is shifting so fast to new platforms. Think about commercials. Super Bowl's the best. I'm on CNBC saying these are a steal at $7 million a spot. Why? Because 100+ Americans will actually watch it. Meanwhile, streaming is eating up all television except sports. How many people here now have Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Prime and are consuming shows on that? Raise your hand. Dave, I want you to look at this crowd. One more time, raise it high all the way. I don't know if you know this, these are not 20-year-olds. This crew, the OGs, you're watching Hulu and Netflix, which means every minute you're doing that is a minute you're not watching cable. It's a minute you're not watching local television. And oh, by the way, the random times you find yourself on cable and regular television, predominantly watching sports, when the commercial comes on, I promise you're not consuming it. Even this crowd is grabbing their phone and doing something or going to the bathroom or whatever you're doing, but I promise you, you're not excited for a Jeep going up a mountain telling you it's $399. That is not what you're hyped for in between watching the Housewives or the Bulls game.